Well, the Democratic Alliance has just elected DA leader, that is Helen Zille, to be the mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg for them in the upcoming elections. And this means that Helen Zille will now be going on the ballot when it comes to elections next year in 2024. That is the local elections, that the municipality elections. And Helen Zille is expected to go into the city of Johannesburg, which is a mess. The ANC has actually done a real job in destroying the city in the last 30 years. Nothing in the city actually worked. The city is now just but a shadow of itself. So Helen Zille, when she gets elected, which is very much likely because the people of Johannesburg are tired of the rubbish and the lack of service delivery that they've seen from the ANC in the last 30 years. So it is expected that the Democratic Alliance would do very well with Helen Zille as the leader. So when she goes into that city, she'll be going into a city that is in ruins, a city that has been neglected for many, many years. Now it is a den of a criminal and every kind of wrongdoing, hijacked buildings, dirty streets, everything that is a mess in that city. So will Helen Zille be able to do it? She says that she's up for the job. Let's listen to her as she speaks for this matter, as she says that the days for the ANC to run the city down have come to an end. Let's listen in.
So, what are your key things that you're going to do, especially for the black townships like Alex and Soweto? What are the key things that you were planning to do as soon as you take over?
Well, the thing that you do in local government is what the Constitution requires you to do. One is to deliver clean water to people that they can drink, wash, and cook with. The second is to make sure that the electricity is getting to people. Obviously, people have to pay for electricity above the free basic amount that people get through the cross subsidy. And electricity, refuse removal, cleaning away the rubbish. Obviously, that means also that people mustn't dump rubbish and mustn't throw it all around. But we have to have a partnership with the people. We must remove the refuse. There must be sewage systems working. There must be all of that infrastructure, roads, street lights, traffic lights, all of that infrastructure must work. And that is the singular role of local government, basic service delivery, and that is what we will try to do for everyone, as I say, in partnership. If people are going to vandalize the infrastructure, it is very difficult to find the budget to keep on replacing it. If people are not going to use the bags that are provided to put their refuse in, but instead throw it all around, then it's going to be very hard to keep the place clean. Government is a partnership between the people and those elected to lead them.
Your party is opposed to the broad-based economic empowerment in its current form, and it's also opposed to transformative policies.
We're right in the vanguard of transformative politics. I mean, the biggest transformation for anybody is to get a job. And where the DA governs, there's much more investment and much more job creation. Where the DA governs in Cape Town and the Western Cape, unemployment is 10 percentage points lower. The biggest transformation in a person's life is getting a job. And the DA is the party of that kind of transformation.
Should the black businesses who are doing business with the city of Johannesburg be worried if you come in as mayor?
What people need to understand is that we will run the processes honestly. People have to compete. They have to be able to provide a service at the standard required, at the price that is competitive. That is what we do because that's in the best interests of the residents of Joburg. They don't want to pay 3 times more because there is some kind of policy that only certain people can be contracted. They don't want millions to go to a contractor who then hasn't got the capacity to finish the job, who walks off the job halfway, and then it has to be paid for again. That's how a city goes bankrupt, and that doesn't serve the residents.
So let's say you don't get 50 plus 1 to enough seats to govern. Who are you likely to work with?
Sibonga Konke, you know that in a proportional representation system, it is very rare for a party to get above 50%.
Yes.
In Cape Town, it's an anomaly. We've got over 50% for a very long time. And in the Western Cape, it's very, very rare in proportional representation systems that ever happens. But we can't say who we're going to vote to work with. That we can only say after the election. Obviously, the best case scenario is to win outright. That means to get above 50%. But as I say, that is very, very rare and unlikely. So we have to be at least bigger than the ANC and as big as we can possibly be. And then we look at all the options to create a partnership that takes us over 50%, and we will take the one that is least bad. That is the only yardstick you can use. So we can't say now who's going to get the balance of power until people vote. But we need to aim to be the biggest party.
Herman Mashaba's party did very well in the last local government elections here in this city. Do you think, is he the biggest threat than the ANC?
No, I think he'll lose a lot of votes. I think a lot of people have opened their eyes to the reality of Herman Mashaba and Action South Africa. So I do think that they will lose a lot of votes in this coming election.
What do you think of the incumbent mayor's performance?
Well, Dada Morero, he's a pleasant person. He is. He has a very difficult hand. He has got a staff, an entire administration of redeployed cadres who are under the control of the ANC, and he's not under control of the ANC in the city of Johannesburg. They are all held to account, not for their performance, but for looking after the cadres and the comrades. And it's a jolly difficult job if you can't do it.
Yeah. In some of the interviews that you've done, you've spoken about the fact that the city of Johannesburg pays a lot of money on salaries.
Yes.
What is your answer to that? Are you going to cut jobs, and where are you looking at cutting?
Well, I'm certainly not going to cut jobs at the level of service delivery. I mean, at the frontline service delivery level, that's definitely not where you want to cut jobs. That's where you want to preserve jobs and build jobs. The city of Johannesburg is very top-heavy. They've duplicated across a number of functions. So they've got all the entities, nice places for deployed cadres to go and extract the money, like Eskom and other places. They've got a whole lot of small Escoms as municipal entities covering almost every area of service delivery. And then they duplicate that in the departments in the city. Now that's crazy. And it creates a whole lot of top positions, earning top dollars, who are all doing each other's work and falling over each other. What we have to do is rationalize at the top so that there are not so many people who are trying to manipulate tenders and contracts and earning fat salaries and earning fat fees for attending meetings. I can't believe that the water board sometimes get 100,000 rand per person per meeting. I mean, that's insane. That kind of thing has to stop.
Yeah.
But I do not want and will not cut frontline service delivery, the workers who work there. Every time you ask a top manager to cut employment costs, they'll always start cutting the workers. I won't do that. I will say what we need is to keep the frontline services, protect the frontline services, build the frontline services, rationalize all the duplication at the top.
There's a proposal to ring fence funds meant for water, funds meant for electricity, so that you spend money on those services. Are you in support of that proposal?
100% in support of that proposal. You have to say this job of this administration is basic service delivery. There's no service more basic and more essential to human life and human dignity than water. And we've got to ring fence the budget for water, for electricity, for all the other utility services, sewage, all of the others, so that you can maintain the system that exists and expand it very rapidly. That's what has to be done. Now, for some reason, I read in the newspapers that 4 billion rand was moved out of the water budget. They asked the mayor, where did that go to? He doesn't know. I don't understand how a mayor doesn't know what is happening in the budget. Being on top of what's happening in the budget is the most important requirement to be a mayor. You've got to understand the budget, you've got to know it inside out, and no one should be able to move money around without a clear policy directive to do so. And there are processes to do so. So ring fencing the money for basic service delivery is essential.
Yeah. Residents of Coronationville, residents of Westbury have been without water for a long time. How would you have handled it if you were mayor?
Well, if I'd been the mayor in 2006, which is when I was a mayor in Cape Town, I would have invested in the infrastructure. You have to maintain infrastructure. You can't let infrastructure decay over 30 years and then wonder why you can't get water to people. The people in Westbury and Coronationville, in that area, they rely on the Hurst Hill Reservoir, right? There's plenty of water in the Vaal Dam. The heavens have given Joburg plenty of water. God has been good to Joburg, especially with respect to water. But they can't fill the dam. Why? Because a third of the way up is a big crack, because it hasn't been maintained. Now they take the water, they fill it up a third of the way, people have some water during some part of the day, then there's no water left, dololo. So the critical thing is to get that repaired. Now you can't suddenly be delivering water when the infrastructure is so broken. We're going to have a maintenance plan, but then you've got to have the water tankers there. And of course, the tenderpreneurs who are responsible for the water tankers are sometimes accused of actually sabotaging the water infrastructure, so the city will have to purchase or rent or do whatever they have to, water tankers from them. Now, this is the most cynical and disgusting thing I've ever heard, that people want to make money from service delivery failure, and then they deliberately sabotage the infrastructure to cause the service to fail so they can make money out of it. Anybody who does that is, for me, the lowest form of life. They benefit from other people's misery.